And hey, everybody, welcome to Squash Talk. I'm Pat. How's everybody doing tonight? So this is my presentation of how we get answers in the next 5 years. It's coming. I'm just going to make the statement right now. We will get answers in the next 5 years. We will have long form observations that are filmed within the next 5 years because somebody will do this. The right person will do this, whether it's me or not, doesn't matter. The technology is there, the desire to film them is there. It's the perfect storm. And so it's a breakout thing. Either way. And so I'm claiming here tonight, absolutely 100%, that we will absolutely have footage of a Bigfoot within the next 5 years, probably sooner, or they ain't there. So if it's tried, and it's tried by the right people and the right tactics using the right technology, so all the things that I'm going to lay out here tonight, if it's done that way, if they're not found in 5 years, they're not there. There is no undiscovered hominin roaming around North America at all. It's not a thing because this technology, they cannot escape it. They can't. If they're just wandering around in the woods. So if they're not filmed with using the technology and tactics I'm going to talk about tonight, then they're not there. There's something else going on. So it's still a question mark. I'm not saying that people aren't seeing them, but it proves in a very polarizing way whether there's an undiscovered hominin roaming around North America or there's something else going on that we don't understand. It proves all that. There's proof no matter what, and it's coming soon. And so here's my presentation explaining why.
Oh, certainly. But again, so much of it is experiential in the way that, we experience. Again, I know we're coming on the end of the hour there, but for example, if you have an animal that has a very large home range and is very rare and is very mobile within that home range, that you having an on-demand encounter or observation is extremely difficult. And so, for some of your audience might have heard me make this analogy already, or this comparison. But the Siberian tiger male has a home range of about 1,500 square kilometers, and it's always on the move. So even if you knew which 1,500 square kilometers, like it's in here somewhere, you might spend a decade in there and never see it. You're just not in the right place at the right time. So most encounters are serendipitous; they're random. You just happen to be in the right place at the right time, and the Sasquatch is no different. Most places you might get like 30 yards line of sight. If it's not within that line of sight, and if it's not making sound, because you could hear something at a greater distance. But if you're trying to see something, if it's not within 30 yards, or let's say 90 yards, just to be even more generous, it might as well be on another planet. Because if you're half a mile from it, it might as well be on the moon. If you're a quarter of a mile, because you're not going to see it in that dense forested environment. And so it doesn't matter how close we actually are, like you have to have this visual contact. So yeah, it does feel like most of the time you can't find them when you're looking for them.
It feels, it's fresh that there's all these new channels out there, but it's stale that they're all chasing the same original thinking. I mean, if you go down to the basic concept of trying to solve this mystery and move this science further, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over. It hasn't been working. We have to tweak this. We have to
look outside the box.
And so to get the same people regurgitating the same shit they have been for years, that isn't working. I mean,
that doesn't move anything forward.
No,
it just keeps it drifting.
That's what it's been doing. A lot of it really is that there's just no proxy for luck, being in the right place at the right time. And so I think that's a big part of it too. It's like, yes, they probably do know when people are intruding on their defensible areas, but for the most part, wherever, all they have to do is be where we're not. You know what I mean? The people that are pursuing them. And so if I enter some 300 square mile area and I have whatever, 30 yards line of sight, and I can hear a little bit further than that, this tiny dot in a sea of wilderness, all it has to do is be anywhere except there, and I won't know it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell people, like, what does drone deer recovery do?
We use thermal imaging drones to locate carcasses of deer or anything really that has a heartbeat or has not necessarily a heartbeat, but has warmth. We use thermal imaging drones, so we find the heat signature, and then we have a 200 times zoom camera on our drones as well. So once we find that heat signature, we can zoom in and see if it's the deer you hit. And outside of that, we've looked for hogs. We've found coyotes, raccoon. We've found lost puppies. It's unlimited what you can do with this technology.
It's unlimited. So tell me, okay, you said unlimited, and I agree with you, and we're gonna get there. But tell me about the drones that you're using currently and have been using, for the past year or so.
Yeah.
Tell me
So
about the drones and what their capabilities are. You can get into some
so
specifics. That's fine.
we use the DJI Matrice 30T is what we use, and that's what we require our operators to use because it has the highest zoom and clarity. It also can withstand weather conditions that other drones can't, like rain, snow, high winds, that type of thing. So that's required by our operators is to have the Matrice 30T. That way we can go out in all types of weather conditions to help our clients in whatever situation they're in.
All right, and talk about the camera.
So the camera is a camera that is mounted to the drone. It's not something that we put on aftermarket. It's all built with it on there. Originally, when DJI engineered this drone, they were focused on the law enforcement side of things, like search and rescue, that type of thing. And so the kit that you can buy from us and from other suppliers basically is that drone, and everything's ready to go. When we talk 200 times zoom camera, it has 4 different cameras on the drone. You got your FPV, you got your thermal, you got your wide angle lens, and then you got your zoom lens on there. And so that's basically the equipment that's on the drone, and it's not something you can interchange on the Matrice 30T.
So is it that it's proprietary, basically?
Yeah, I guess I don't know that many details about is this camera and stuff only available for DJI. I assume it's not, but when DJI engineered this drone, they really got into a really good airframe size and compactability with the camera that it's carrying. So before the Matrice 30T came along, you had a Mavic series of drones.
Yeah.
Then it went to an M300 series, which was a huge change. There was like, I don't know what the size is of a Mavic, but I would say like 12 inches. So it
Yeah,
went from a
they're
12 inch,
way smaller. Yeah, way
yep,
smaller.
like 12
Yep.
inch drone to probably a 52-inch drone, and there was nothing in
Yeah.
the middle there. So the Matrice 30 really filled a spot that was not being filled, and I just feel like they absolutely nailed it on the capabilities, the ease of use, and how quickly you can set it up and launch.
How fast does it go?
I would say if I'm in a hurry and I really want to get that drone up, I should have it in the air in 40 to 45 seconds. Or you're
Right.
saying speed wise?
But yeah, that's
Top
fine. I
speed.
would ask that
Top,
too. But yeah,
top
how fast
top
will it go
speed
through
is
the air?
50 miles per hour.
50 miles an hour.
Yep.
And the battery life, roughly.
So the manufacturer would say 40 minutes, but that's probably taking it from 100% to 0%. You could probably stay in the air, but we don't do that. We take our batteries from 100 to 25%. So you're looking at about 25, 30 minutes, give or take, right in there.
Right. So it cuts into the flight time to kind of be safe. Just in
Yeah.
case,
Yep.
just in case you have a headwind trying to get back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and let me ask you about this because what? So you haven't mentioned the light. So you guys have lights on these things, right?
Yeah. You're talking about the spotlight that we use.
The spotlight. Yeah,
At night, it does have a night vision camera, but that night vision is only good to, like, I don't know, maybe 30 feet, because it has its own laser infrared light on the drone. You can't see it. It's not something that's visible to the human eye, but that laser infrared light is only good for about 30 feet. Well, if you're at 400, right below 400 feet, and you're trying to look at something at night, there's not enough light there for you to see. So we have a spotlight that mounts to the top of the drone that syncs up with the camera of the drone. And wherever we're looking, with the camera, the spotlight will look in that direction. And so it's not like, it is really, really bright, but if you're at 400 feet, it's not like overwhelming bright, but it's enough
yeah,
light for the night vision camera to gather enough light that it needs for us to see whatever it is that we got to see.
yeah. And can you also use that in conjunction with just the normal like optical camera if you were filming just normal?
Yeah. You're saying, like, not the night vision camera. So the night
Yeah,
vision
just like
camera,
if you were filming, if you were trying to take a pretty picture of a fawn, could you use that?
use
Like
the
in
the
yeah,
spotlight or use the camera.
yeah, use the spotlight.
Yeah, yeah, you could use that.
You could see, yeah, because I know you guys had footage where you lit. I saw you like you lit things up, some deer up, and it was like normal film. It wasn't
Yeah,
thermal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So you're talking about the color. That's an
yeah,
RGB camera. So red, green, blue is normal. What we consider normal. We can switch that on our remote to be night vision, or just use the RGB camera. We don't use the RGB camera unless we need to look for blood or something like that, because it requires more light to see what we're looking at. So
okay.
that would mean we have to get closer to the item, or the whatever it is that we're looking at, carcass, whatever. So if we're at 400 normally, what we like to stay at, we would have to come down to maybe 200 to really use and get good image with the RGB camera. Leaves drop. And what's nice about this is if you can stick it out and you can, keep going during the hard searches with how the canopy is, when it does come off, you are gonna be so jacked up. It's like, oh my gosh, like, is this easy? If you have the right equipment. So you start
Yeah,
when
because
you
that's
start when
how.
it's hard, and it's going to progressively get easier.
Because I mean, that really is the like how easy it is to find things when the canopy's down.
Yep. Yep.
Like if I said, Mike, here's a 1 square mile area, go find me a raccoon. You think you could find it with the canopy
100
down?
100%.
Like,
No, I
yeah.
mean, it's not even a question if I would find it.
But correct me if I'm wrong. I swear I remember seeing this on one of your videos where um you had just kind of been flying over normal deer. It wasn't the deer you were looking for, and they left thermal footprints behind them. Am I imagining that, or did that happen?
No, that happened. But you have to understand how that works. Like the conditions were absolutely ideal. Like meaning that the ground got cool, right? So the sun just went down like it did here. Um, so the ground got cool, the deer was laying, and that cool dew, then the deer got up and its warm feet from laying on top of it just stepped into that ground and it just left a little bit of a heat signature that was different. Like that wouldn't stay there for long, but it was. I mean, you're not kidding. There were definitely tracks there, thermal tracks. I see.
Thermal
I'm like,
tracks.
what? Did that thing
No,
just?
yeah, that blew my mind. And I'm glad you explained it because that makes sense. It was a conditional thing,
Yeah, it was
you
just
know.
ideal conditions. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Oh, it was funny. I noticed it more and more as as we did it, but the conditions have to be right.
I'm curious, have you ever spooked anything from the sound of the drone?
Rarely, rarely. Like the only animal that I've spooked would be animals that live close to an area where people pressure them with four wheelers or something like that. Where if they hear a certain thing, they just leave, even if they haven't seen it or whatever. They just heard it and they're like, oh, it's that dirt bike that's going to be coming, or it's that four-wheeler or whatever, and then they just leave. But 90, I'm going to say 99% of the deer have no clue that we're there.
So there are two clips in particular that I want to share with you that really showcase how powerful the camera system is here on the M30T, especially at nighttime when conducting one of these search and rescue operations. The first clip is a person that I found walking on a dirt path behind one of the neighborhoods that we were actively searching in. I flew down closer to get a better look, and at first glance I kind of thought that it was a male just by the way that they were walking and their stature, but I wanted to make sure that we covered all of our options, all of our ground. So I called into a ground team. They went over, they asked that person questions. They unfortunately didn't know where she was, so we moved on from there and continued to search. This second clip, I think, though, is even more powerful because it shows how quickly you can clear a large section of woods using a drone flying above the trees. So I was kind of cruising around the neighborhood, trying to support some of the people on the ground that were looking for her under porches and things like that. I went and I came across 3 individuals that were helping with the search on the ground that were about to go through this wooded section of the neighborhood, and instead of them going through that area, yelling her name, trying to look with flashlights, I simply flew my drone overhead, saw nothing, no thermal hotspots inside of that area, and told them to go and look elsewhere and not waste their time rummaging through the woods. That single clip right there should instantly prove how valuable the M30T is when it comes to conducting a search and rescue operation, as it can effectively and reliably clear such a large amount of area in a short amount of time, therefore helping you speed up your efforts in trying to find the person that you are looking for.
We may or may not be working on our own software to be able to do that. But currently, you have to do it with a human eye. So you have to understand what the image is that you're looking at in order for the drone to do any good. So if I just throw it in anybody's hand with no training or any type of education on what a thermal image looks like and what it is that you should be looking for, it's going to take you a little bit to understand it. So our operators go through training where they, go through thermal imaging and videos and that type of thing to start understanding what it is the image that they're looking for, or what it is that they're looking at, and what is it inside of the image that they're looking for. Because you can look at the image, but if you don't understand the signals that you're looking for, then you will oftentimes not find what it is that you're out there trying to find.
Sure. Right. So like the human sort of interpretation of optics of the screen is still very important with what you're doing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. For
Mhm.
sure.
Now, do you see that changing in the future? I
Oh yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah. Just like all technology. That we've seen progress over the last 10 years. Like, let's even just talk about this phone that I'm holding that I'm talking to over the internet. I mean, back in the day when phones first came around, there was this big old box you had to put in your truck just to try to have a cell phone. So technology, the drones are basically a flying computer, and as they get them better and better, I believe that there will be such a thing as AI being able to find what it is that we're looking for sure.